Hey, good evening, everyone. It's our Monday night live stream with Taskmaster and talking about updates on Leo Glossary and what's going on in INLEO in general. So let's just get right into it. How was your weekend, Task?
Okay. Pretty good. Pretty good. Had the town hall on Friday, then just did my usual stuff over the weekend.
Did you get a lot of updates done?
I was a little bit busy, so I didn't get as nearly as much done as I wanted to, but that tends to be always the case. So, such is life, just ongoing projects, trying to develop flywheels, just all kinds of stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I put that post in for the threadcast and I forgot to put the time in. I'm like, oh my God. Lucky you saw that and remembered to put the time in.
Yep, it helps. And I know that because I've done the same thing with the Lions Den, where I put up a threadcast and don't put the time in. So I didn't catch that because I'm smart and observant. I caught it because I've done the same damn thing.
Oh, I was all excited about getting it a poll in there, and oh well, okay.
Yeah, well, it's yeah. You just try things. That's I think that's a good place to start. I started messing around with lyrics in some music on Leo threads, and might possibly started messing around with it. And that's all you can do is just experiment with stuff. It didn't work very well. I mean, it worked okay, but putting a section in each thread that doesn't really flow very well. But either way, you just got to try stuff. And polls, I've said it in the Lions Den, I've said it over and over again. People need to think of every which way to put a poll into something. I started today. I was starting to create some AI generated pictures, nature scenes, and things of that nature. And
Oh
I
yeah,
just stuck a poll in them. AI images, nature on Leo, and stuck a poll in it.
yeah. I decided that instead of like with the recipes, I was just putting recipes up there with polls in them instead of like doing a container or whatever.
Hmm.
But I think I'll do containers. I'll just like copy the links and like rethread them or whatever.
Well,
So
the problem is the poll. I mean, the polls are in there, but the polls won't show up till you click on the actual thread. Polls don't show up when you rethread stuff and when you repost stuff, and
mhm.
hopefully that'll be addressed in part of the issues, because I think if you rethread a poll, people should be able to see the damn poll, not just
Mhm.
the thread with the question that says which do you like, and it's like you can't
Which
see the
what?
poll. I mean,
Which
it's
what?
that's something they hopefully they'll get addressed. But polls are all part of what I look at as part of the overall activity flywheel, let's call it, which is part of the overall Leo flywheel. So I think as many polls, as many sticky polls. You know, if you do a recipe and put a poll in it, what do you think this recipe? Bradley Arrow with his meme on Leo, and I just think Adam Barrett's doing it with the travel and stuff, and about the cities that they do some things about. I think that's fabulous. I think that,
Mhm.
again, I go back to, if we have a million polls in the library, that is information that once the recommend engine gets installed, it can feed into it. I mean, we don't have anywhere near that many, but more are showing up each day.
So yeah, nobody answered the poll I put in there. If they
What's that?
use the if they use the Leo glossary or what is the Leo glossary?
Well, what is it?
No, I mean, that was part of the poll I put in there. Do you use the Leo glossary terms in your content creations? I put yes, no, or the third choice is what is Leo glossary?
Yeah, I mean, that's I mean, it's stuck in a threadcast, so it'll get buried. But again, those are things that I mean, there's nothing wrong with time sensitive polls. Do you think Bitcoin's going to go up or down, to 65,000 or 62,000 or whatever? Those are fine. Who's going to win the Bulls game tonight? The Bulls or the Warriors, whatever. Those are cool. Who's going to win the Super Bowl? But we also have to have the stuff that sticks long term and use it as an educational tool also. So I mean, I'm a big believer that we need to start putting polls on everything, and hopefully they address some of the issues with polls that get them on long form, number one, and B, get them so they get seen if we drop the thread in a thread cast or if you rethread it. I think that's very important.
Or yeah, and it would be nice to go back and be able to put them all in the old threads. All those songs that we have up there from before.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll get that. I've been thinking about that, and as much as I would like that, there's a problem with that. If you put up a poll which says, let's just say, do you think Joe Biden should be impeached? You put up a poll with that, right? And then you put yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
And you put up the poll and you get all the responses.
Uh-huh.
And then you go back into the poll. And so let's say you get 1,000 votes, just as an example here. Then you go back in and you can edit the poll. That might be problematic if you could go back in and change it. And that's what you effectively do if you can go and take a thread and add a poll to it. I mean, I guess it's the same thing. If it has a poll in it, you can edit it. You can always change it around anyway. So I don't know if we'll get that. But I hope we do. I hope we can add threads to exist, or polls to exist in threads. That would be very beneficial.
And it keep us busy for a while because we don't have anything else to do.
Yeah, well, that's true too. That's true too. But yeah, I mean, it's there's people need to start understanding, in my opinion, Web3, take ownership, understand concepts of flywheel, understand concepts of digital platform business models, understanding exponentiality, understanding these different things that feed into what we're dealing with here. Because if you have Leo, you have a financial stake in what's going on. And it's up to you, again, using the general you, to increase the value of that stake. And this is why I say, well, it's not about market watchers. Market watchers don't do anything important. Over long term, you don't remember them. It's the builders who do. And they're the ones who make a difference.
Okay. Yeah, I put some. That was fun looking at all those recipes today. I'm like, ooh, this looks good. And then I was sitting and listening to the videos. I'm like, I'm not going to get anything done if I keep listening to all these videos, and I'm going to get hungry.
Well, and by doing that, you're depending on what you're doing, you can be doing two things. I mean, first off, if you have the recipe itself and getting the recipe online, in the database, that's good. Then you're adding a video to it. Now you have two key elements. And that not only enhances the database, but you added video content that can be viewed on Leo, even though it's an embedded YouTube video. It doesn't matter. It's still something that adds to Leo. And that's what we need. We need the multimedia, we need the cross section of stuff that people will spend the time looking at. I mean, all this is not going to be of massive benefit till we get the recommend engine, until we get better search, but at least we can start filling the database or keep filling the database.
And then it'll be there for when we get the other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I've said with threads, and I've said, or excuse me, music on Leo, and I've said the same thing with polls. And it would stand to reason the same thing with what you're doing with recipes. It would stand the same thing with the travel on Leo. You get that recommend engine. Once somebody's on a thread in one of those areas, um, let's take a travel on Leo. So I come across a travel on Leo thread, a video of Venice, Italy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the recommend engine will recommend another travel on, you would think, another travel on Leo thread or a series of them. And if it does, and I'm interested in watching videos on different cities around the world, all of a sudden I might see London or Budapest or Rome or, you know, Sydney or whatever. And I click on that. It's it's no different than what we've talked about with YouTube. I mean, YouTube has tens of millions, hundreds of millions of videos. Who knows how many freaking videos they have? But we'll just keep it in the music realm because we tend to discuss that. But you and I both know there's who knows how many thousands of songs with tens of millions of views. But that didn't happen in a short period of time. Those views, and they may be botted, they may be not, whatever, but it's still a lot of views.
Mm-hmm.
That was over the course of years. And that was because as more of the music was put in, whether it's group based upon artist name or artist genre or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
every time somebody ends up on one of those songs on YouTube, there's the whole recommend engine on the right side that gives you, if you scroll down, I don't even know if there's a limit. You could probably keep scrolling forever, and it just keeps giving you more songs, more songs. And yeah, you might get other things in there, like if you watch a stock market video, that'll be in there, or a recipe video, that'll be in there. But you'll see. I don't know if you're listening to the Beatles, you'll see other Beatles songs or Rolling Stone songs or whatever, and then there's a recipe, and then there's a travel video, then there's the Kinks and the Doors, and then you get all kinds of stuff. And so what happens? You're scrolling down, you say, okay, well, this song's over. Let me play this one. And you click on it. That's how it works. And that's what Leo really needs. Because if you start, especially with threads, if you start recommending these things, people will click on them.
Yeah, right now what I have is I've been doing like Rachel Ray and then Jada. Today I did some Ina Garten. I've been putting like cooking and celebrity chefs. I put that tag in there. But I haven't seen like any transcriptions. It's mostly just the demos of the whatever it is they're cooking. But I haven't seen any so maybe putting those into Chat GTP and getting a transcription or what.
Does ChatGPT do that? I don't know. I don't use it.
Okay, that was just a guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
How does Mike possibly do those?
I don't know what, I think he was using ChatGPT. Now he goes to Claude, but I don't know if he can do it under the free. I've never tried it. I mean, maybe you can. It's worth a try on YouTube video. Google won't, at least the free Gemini, will not transcribe a video. If there is a transcript of it, uh, it will give you a summary of the transcript. But
Okay.
you can throw the video link in. If there's no transcript, um, I don't know if some of the others will actually, skim the video and give a transcript, give a summary. Obviously, Mike possibly does it with was doing it with OpenAI, so it does it. But he uses the paid version. Uh, I
Okay.
don't know if the free version of OpenAI does it or not. But again, that's one of those things. You know, if you want a feature in the chatbot world, just wait about 2 weeks till the next update from somebody comes, and they'll have it in there. I mean, things are just moving so quickly in that realm. But it's worth a try to get a transcript, and then you can. Then I know you can feed the transcript script through and say, give me the recipe," because I've
Mhm.
done that. I've taken a transcript from YouTube, put it into, I forget which one I used, but I dumped it in there and I said, give me a summary, give me the recipe of this. And it gave me like a typical recipe. Here are your ingredients, 1/4 cup milk and two sticks of butter and this and that. And then it gave me the recipe, the directions. So it will do that. Um, so I mean, again, experimentation. You just play around, and
Mhm.
if it's like if you put up a video today and you can't do something or doesn't have something, put it up tomorrow or next week or 6 months and try something. And you think up something, go back and say, let me try this. And it may work, it may not work, but what's the difference? It's
Mhm.
ultimately it's just a thread. So
Right.
when it's a thread, it's easily just create another thread. Not a big deal. And even if you have it in a container or something, you just edit the container. You go into the container and edit that original thread and put the new thread in. I mean, there's just a lot of different things you can do uh, with this. I mean, hell, you can always go in and edit the first thread. um, or if it's on a music on Leo, you just we just take the old URL out of the first thread and put it in the second thread, the new URL. So it's not that difficult.
No, not rocket science for sure.
No, it's volume. It's just quantity, 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 quantity at this point. I mean, part of the digital platform business model is you want to increase interactions. And interactions, you want to get better. You want to increase the quality and quantity. Well, we're not at the point of quality. We're at the point of quantity. We just want to increase the quantity. And when you
Mhm.
deal with threads, you're never really going to have much quality to it anyway, other than the fact, in my opinion, of increasing the quality means increasing the utility with the thread. So you have a picture up there, fine. You put up a couple tags with it. Okay, that helps. That increases the quality. You throw a poll on it, that really increases the quality. There, boom. Very simple. Do that 1,000 times over the next month, and you have something. I mean,
It
just think about if we had 100 people creating 1,000 polls a month. Well, 1,000 polls is a little much in a month. Well, over 3 months, that'd be 10 polls a day. 100 people completing 10 polls a day of varying types. Whether it's a music on Leo poll, whether it's memes, whether it's photographs, whether it's whatever people are putting on. They just put a poll to it, whether it's a general poll. Do you like red or black? Do you prefer chess or checkers? There's a poll. got to put that one up. I didn't think of that one. Chess or checkers, but put those up. We'd have 100,000 polls at the end of a quarter, roughly. Where's 100,000 polls do for Leo?
Wow.
Does a lot.
You like Monopoly or Risk? I haven't.
No, I mean you can do all of these. I mean, do you like? I mean, I've done. Do you like warm weather or cold weather? I did that earlier this week. I've done onion rings or French fries. Are you left-handed or right-handed? Um, toilet paper, over or under. I mean, automatic transmission or manual. I haven't done that poll. That one that can be done. Um, apples, or oranges, or banana. What do you like best? I mean, it can go. It can go so many different ways. Dogs or cats. What are you, a dog person or a cat person? I put up that one. Um, you know, Auburn, Alabama. Michigan State. Uh, I mean, we could put up all these polls. Duke, North Carolina. I mean, you can put up Red Sox, Yankees. I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, I got to put up a lot of these polls. I mean, rivalries.
Packers or the Bears?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, you could do any of that. Golf or tennis, which do you prefer? You could do it. I don't know. What were some 80s sitcoms? Cosby Show or Seinfeld? Well, that was kind of a different show. It's format. Growing Pains or Cosby Show. You could just keep going through this and comparing movies and superheroes, action heroes, porn stars, basketball players, hockey players. Do you prefer gin or poker? Do you prefer gin or whiskey? It's pickup truck or sedan or SUV. I did that one. I mean, these are just, again, it's something very simple for people to do.
Do you like wine or beer?
Yeah, exactly. Wine or beer. Or, you could add a third, hard liquor. And a fourth, I don't drink. Certainly. I mean, you could put that in there. You can get into all types of books or science fiction or romance or, which was your favorite Shakespeare play? Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, Othello, other. Which Stephen King book do you prefer? And you list three of them. Do you prefer Stephen King or James Patterson? Although James Patterson is
Clive Barker, maybe.
Yeah, another horror writer or whatever. Did you prefer Tom Clancy or
James
Grisham?
LeCar or John LeCar?
No, Grisham, the other one they've made all those films. It's like, do you prefer Kevin Costner or Bruce Willis? Who was your favorite original Angel? Brooke Shields, Kate Jackson, or Jacqueline Smith, or Bosley? These just can go on and on and on, and they don't take a lot of effort. They don't take much time, and they're there. And if somebody comes across it in a year, they can vote on it. They can add to it. They can comment on it. And that's what I think it takes.
Does it seem like the UI is working better for you now? I mean,
No, I mean, I've had a few glitches on the threads page. I mean, it's okay. I guess it's okay. It hasn't been horrific, other than the at a couple times the thread page is blown up. It blows up when doing comments. Every time I post a comment, it gives me an error. So then I have to hit the retry. Um, just, but I'm a bad example, because even though I spend a lot of time and do a lot of stuff, if you haven't noticed, I'll get on threads, I'll do a lot of shit very quickly. And then I'm like on long form, just doing a lot of, I've been focusing on actor and actress pages. So I'll just go and do 10 of them, and, you know, that type of thing. But, I mean, I have to fill in Leo Glossary. I got to spend some time doing Leo Glossary pages, because that's what feeds Leo Linker, which then, for the people who do use Leo Glossary and Leo Linker, it will give them more terms in their articles when they use it. And also, for what I do is, when I take in an author page and I throw it through Leo Linker, well, more of the pages are there. If I have a New York City page, and you have an actor who was born in New York City or moved to New York City, well, now all of a sudden New York City's linked. So that's another thing that, I got to kind of spend time filling in, because
Right.
it's that exponential thing again. Because if you only have 10 words in there, you're not going to get a lot of links through Leo Linker. But if I have 100,000 pages, well, then you throw in a 500 or 750 word article into Leo Linker, there's going to be a lot of links that show up.
Yeah, I noticed, like, for the party room, I can't see all the comments on my desktop, but I can see them on my phone. So if
On the desktop, go Control minus sign, make the screen smaller. The the comments will load, and then you can hit the plus sign, comment, Control plus sign, and make it bigger, and it'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a glitch. There is a workaround. You just have to minimize. You just have to make the font on your screen smaller. Then it loads them, and then you can make the font on your screen bigger. Don't know why it does that, but it does it. And that'll allow you to see them. But then when you scroll down, that's another area where the UI is quirky. When you scroll down on desktop, it kind of bounces around. So it gets a little problematic.
Yeah, it's bouncing right now a little
Yeah,
bit.
it does that. It's very unstable in that regard when scrolling through. At least on desktop. I haven't done it on mobile. Scrolling through the comments on the Threadcast, but and again, I don't know what it means on mobile. When you say on mobile, are you talking through Keychain browser, or are you talking through the mobile app?
The mobile app.
Oh, okay. I don't even use, if I'm when I go on mobile, I use the Keychain browser. So I guess
Okay.
I'm kind of on desktop anyway then. But
I really
again,
prefer,
of all the things that are out there, that's probably not the highest priority.
looking at stuff on my computer to the phone. Anyway, the
Oh, you're
phone.
old. I mean, I don't do anything I don't do anything on the phone. If I can avoid it too. I'm on desktop. Hell, I got a new phone in January. I just opened up and put my code into Leo Finance into Keychain last week or 2 weeks ago. So I mean, I basically went 3 months without it, without being able to access, not access, but engage with it on phone. So it was like, that just shows you how little I do. I don't care. I do it on the desktop. It's like, I mean, I'll use chatting apps like Signal, and texting and
Mhm.
talking, and I'll if I'm somewhere and waiting for something, I can use the browser and I'll read. Go to different web pages, but that's about it. You know, I'm not going to go use Leodex through my mobile if I can avoid it, and I'm not going to. I'm really not even going to interact with in Leo through my mobile. I'm certainly not going to write a blog post through my mobile.
No.
I mean,
I've heard of people running like their whole businesses through either their phone or an iPad or whatever tablet, and I'm like, you have fun with that. I like my desktop. I like my laptop.
yeah, I mean, unless I don't know if I could. I guess I could get used to voice to text if that was good enough. I've never really tried to do that. I guess you can do that on desktop too. The Google or Microsoft has that capability too. But
Uh-huh.
I mean, I've never tried that. That might work on my phone. I might try that. That might work if I could do that on through Keychain. Maybe we're talking in to give a reply. That might be a test I could undertake and see if it works. And then if it doesn't require a ton of editing, then I could do that. Yeah, I could try that. Maybe then threading would be okay. Uh, and obviously using threads like Instagram, if you take pictures on your phone, that makes sense too. Okay, I can get that, but outside of that, I'm not going to write a blog post on my phone.
No, sitting there and poking at the, no, thank you.
Well, I use the swipe method, but I even when texting, I gotta like fix half the words half the time. So no thanks. I I've gotten to the point where my high school typing teacher, and yes, I'm old enough where typing used to be taught as a class.
Yeah, me too.
So
On typewriters.
that too, yeah, it was on typewriter, absolutely. Um, Miss Savage, she was like 6'3". She was enormous, 6'4". Her husband was like 6'6". They were both teachers. Um,
Wow.
well, her husband was kind of a special ed counselor or something. But either way, yeah, I don't know where I got off on that, but yeah. So I've become adept enough. And in high school, I didn't get a great grade because I was a hunt and pecker. Um, but now I can type very quickly, and I would make the top secretaries in the '70s very proud with my typing skills.
Yeah, that's what my mother did for a living. She was a secretary.
My mom, that's how my mom put herself through law school. And, it was always amazing to watch my mom uh, type. You want to know, really want to go old school? My mom used to take dictation in shorthand. She knows shorthand.
My mom did too. That
Yeah,
was that generation. Wow.
yeah. Where she would sit down and the lawyer would call her into the office. She would, worked as a secretary in a law school while she was putting herself, or in a law office while she put herself in for law school. And she'd go into his office and he'd dictate whatever or a brief or whatever he wanted
Uh-huh.
done, and she'd sit there and write that. Then she'd type it up on the typewriter, the old IBM Select with carbon paper. You know, that was high tech shit. I remember when because she used to get the old typewriter. I mean, we were only like 8 or 9. Me, I was like 8, 9, 10. My sister was a couple years younger than me, and so I guess when they got a new typewriter, he would let my mom take the old typewriter home.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so what we did is we had the first IBM typewriter. And these things weighed like 25 pounds, and they were pure steel. Um, it was a blue one, and if you made a mistake, you had to use the whiteout.
Oh yeah, whiteout.
Or you had to use the whiteout paper, where you had the piece of paper and you stuck it in, you back
Mm-hmm.
it and you hit it, and then it did the same letter but erased it. Put the white stuff on there. Well, then the next one that she brought home, this was a brown IBM Select, and it had the X on the bottom right, which was you could scroll back over a letter and just exit out, and it would automatically do it. And that was high tech. So this is where, when people say, I get into so many arguments with people about inflation and deflation and how things change. And really, what we have is we have people who are under the age basically of 40. You're 40, you were born what, early 1980s?
Yeah, my
So
nephew is going to be 41. He was born in 83.
so you came of age around the turn of the century. See, unless you lived through the 80s and the 90s, people don't realize what the fuck things would cost today if we were trying to do what we did back then. Or, I mean, what I mean to say is what things would cost what we do today if we were trying to do them back then. Like this video. First
Mm-hmm.
off, it wouldn't be a video. This would have been a phone conversation. And the only way this phone conversation takes place is if um, somebody had recording capability tied to their phone system. And if we wanted a third person on it, it would have required conference call capability on your
Mm-hmm.
phone system. So that's number one. Number two, you would have required a line for each person on the call. Now, here we only have two people, so it's one line, one connection. But if we had a third person, that meant the phone system would need to have two phone lines and long distance on each. So we would have been paying, shit, I don't know, but I remember when like AT&T or somebody advertised like 10 cents a minute, which means that was a special. It was more than that under normal circumstances, let's say 15 cents or 20 cents a minute. So an
Mm-hmm.
hour long conversation would cost you $12. So you have specialized phone equipment, the ability to record, and $12 in long distance charges. But then what do you do with the recording? It's an analog recording, so you got to go and get it converted to digital. Then you got to take the recording and take it to somebody who was going to spit off a number of copies, because if 100 people wanted to listen to this, they would have needed to be mailed 100 copies on a cassette tape or a DVD or a CD, depending on what year, when in the 80s you're talking. Which means somehow you would have had to advertise to get 100 people to say, yeah, okay, I want that. So they would have been charged like $19.99 just to listen to this call. And it probably would have cost us, you wouldn't have done it for 100 people. You'd probably have to do it a minimum or 1,000, 1,500. Still probably would have cost us like 10 grand. And,
Yeah,
and
wow.
now it's free. And people's like, it's like, do you realize what it used to be like? I mean, my dad's a CPA. Today is tax day. And I remember going into his office. He was the only accountant for most of his career since I was a little kid. After he broke away, he was with one of the big accounting firms to start. Then he was with the partner, and then he went off on his own. His partner went off on his own, and so he had his own practice. And I would go in after school during tax season. Then he had a credenza with the old Pitney Bowes mailing machine, his postage machine on it.
Oh yeah.
You'd have to feed the envelopes through and put the postage on them. And people don't realize what an accountant paid just to do those returns, because he had to provide, first off, he had to have multiple copies of the return. So he had his copy of the return, he had the client's copy of the return, and he had a copy of the return for the IRS. Then he had to do, depending on which state the people lived in or did business, he had to do returns for them and, the state returns. And that would have been 3 sets also. So you have all this. Then he has to mail out the return to the customer. Then he had to mail out the IRS's return. Or actually, I guess he just mailed it to the customer and they had to sign it. So he had to mail all this out to the customer. And I don't even know what the hell he spent in postage. And of course, that required copying of everything at, a penny and a half, 2 cents a page, whatever it costs. Now you just file it online. Costs you nothing.
Right. It was they print out the 8879s to give the e-file permission, and that's when my cousin has a whole, and of course his copy of the returns, and the client gets their copy of the returns, but it's so different.
Yeah, and people don't realize that, my dad was spending during tax season, granted, I mean, a stamp was probably 10 cents at that time, but he was still spending $1,000 in postage and envelopes and copy fees and maybe even more, thousands of dollars. And now, even though the price of postage has gone up, however many times, it doesn't matter because he's not mailing any of that stuff out. Like you said, you file it, you get the digital signature, and then hell, you don't even send a PDF to the client. They log in, and if they want, they download a copy from, where you uploaded it. It's just so much different now than then, and I may have covered this. This is getting off topic, but it kind of comes into play with Web3 and what we're seeing. I've researched back to 1860. And what happens is technology goes through cycles. And it's not so much technological advancement. That's pretty constant. But technological impacts on society go through roughly 20-year cycles. And this goes back to 1860. And this is why there were people who, just before COVID, I remember seeing people online. And they say, well, everybody talks about technology, but, things haven't changed that much since 2000. And the person is correct. They were correct. Because the way we work, the way we played, how we engaged and interacted did not change all that much. Yeah, we had email. Mobile was a big shift, but that was convergence. Movies, yeah, you have streaming with Netflix as opposed to going to Blockbuster or movie gallery, but you're still watching a video on just a screen. So that the delivery mechanism may have been a little different, but it still was the same. So in that regard, everybody was not that far off. But I can tell you, there wasn't a person in the year 2000 sitting there and saying, things haven't changed that much since 1980. What, are you kidding?
Right.
In 1980, you barely had copy machines in offices. You still had people using carpet, paper, and typewriters, as I just said. You didn't have in-home video games. I mean, look at the Karate Kid. Where did they meet? At a video gallery.
Right.
They didn't have in-home video games. You certainly didn't have the VCR. You weren't able to record any TV programs. You weren't able to watch movies at home. If you wanted to watch a movie, you watched the Disney Sunday night movie, or you went to the theaters. I didn't have cable. I don't know about you, but I didn't have cable till I was a junior in high school.
It was later than that for me. I don't know when my
You're
parents.
also older, but I mean, we're talking 86, 87 till I got cable. Before that, and you got to remember, I grew up near New York, which was the media capital of the world. So we were special. I had like 7 stations, 8 if you included PBS. Many areas on just the rooftop antenna, you got like 4. So that was the extent. And even then, I'm trying to think if it was in New York. I know when I moved to Atlanta, this was in the mid 90s in Atlanta, at like midnight or 1 a.m., some of the channels would go off and you got
Right.
that funny sound
Uh-huh.
and then that thing on the screen. Uh,
Right.
they they played like the Star Spangled Banner and then turned the damn thing off for like 5 or 6 hours. Um, so you know, then there was no internet. There weren't personal computers. Those were just coming out and being introduced. I mean, they did. The first Macs came out in the 70s, but nobody used them. Um, so this is what digital cameras, mobile phones. I mean, to me, a mobile phone was the first time we had a phone that wasn't attached to the damn wall. And so this is how I'm saying, and I got to point to this story. I promise you.
I know you do.
There was nobody in 2000 that was saying life didn't change since 1980. There were people in 2020 who said life didn't change that much since 2000. There ain't going to be nobody in 2040 who says, you know, things haven't changed that much since 2020. And I'm talking technologically how we do things. I'm not talking geopolitics. I'm not talking any of that crap. I'm not talking about the fall of the Berlin Wall or the implosion of the Soviet Union. I'm leaving all that crap out of it. Geopolitics and that type of stuff is, I'm just talking technology. And we can already see it. I mean, shit. You can't even say now in 2024, well, nothing's changed technologically since 2020. Chatbots. I mean, that's changed everything. And that's just, I think, the tip of the iceberg. And that's really where, when we look at what's going on, I mean, you're looking at some very, very interesting times that 10 years from now, it's going to be mind blowing because in the last 16 months, it's been mind blowing.
Well, like now, I mean, I have my DVR and I record everything in the. I remember recording my soap operas on VHS tapes, and then you could only rewind and reuse them so many times, and then they'd get all messed up. So you had to go and buy. So I had a stack like you wouldn't believe VHS tapes that I'd be recording my soap operas on. So when we got the DVR a few years, well, I don't know how many years ago we got the DVR for the first time, it was like, yes, because I don't have all these tapes laying around.
Well, I mean, it's, yeah, I mean, it's, I think I've mentioned this. I had a roommate in college. I mean, he probably had $5,000 in CDs, not including what he had in his stereo, because he had a very nice stereo. But $5,000, the guy had a wall of CDs, probably more because he probably had 500 CDs. It was probably close to $7,500. They went for like 13 or 15 bucks a pop. And you just think about if you were the company that manufactured CDs or manufactured the cases for CDs or the wrapping for CDs. You're out of business. You're gone. It's like no more business. That's how things change, and that's the disruption. And I don't know how many billions of CDs we produce globally a year, but I can tell you right now, I would guess we probably don't produce any CDs. Who the hell makes CDs anymore? Why the hell would you do it? There's no
Well, we
reason.
still got a whole wall of DVDs and Blu-ray discs. Because
Yeah, and why the hell do you have that? Because you can find most everything you want online. I mean, it's just amazing how things have changed. But see, you also exhibit a generation because the fact that you have DVR tells me you also have cable.
mm-hmm.
You're a boomer, which you people are dying off. What's going to happen to broadcast television when the boomers are mostly gone? Because I mean, you're not watching the Gen Zs. They're not paying, 200 bucks or 150 bucks a month for cable. They're not sitting there watching Home and Garden Channel. I mean, if they are, they're watching it on their phone. So, the cable satellite package, the cord cutting started 15 years ago, And it's only going to accelerate as more of the boomers and I guess the first stage Gen Xers die off because they're the ones who uh, are tied to that old model. I mean, the younger generation, and that's why you're seeing Hollywood in a shitload of trouble. You're seeing these networks in a shitload of trouble because there's major disruption, and it's all about the attention, and the attention's going elsewhere. And that's why I say, the more we get on Leo, the more there is for people to do. The more interaction there is, the more. If somebody is on Leo and they press a video that you post and they watch for 3 minutes or 5 minutes or 7 minutes the video that you post, that's 3, 5, or 7 minutes that they're on Leo. They're not elsewhere, and that's what it comes down to. And in the broadcast world, it's always been that way. They knew it. That's what the whole Nielsen rating was. How many eyeballs are we getting? They didn't have an exact way to track it, but that's what Nielsen was basically doing, is saying, okay, this many people, this many eyeballs basically showed up to watch the Cosby Show on Thursday night. And this many eyeballs were watching the show, whatever came on after Cosby. And, now it's like, how many hours of YouTube video is consumed a day? Well, if you're watching an hour of YouTube, that means you're not watching an hour of broadcast television. That's just the way it is. And if you're watching videos on YouTube or Twitter or Leo or wherever, your eyeballs aren't elsewhere. I mean, you may have the TV on in the background, but your attention is on that video. And that's why I keep saying, the more we have in the database, the more there is for people to interact with. And it's about the interactions.
Yeah, we're building it up, but it's going to take some time.
Well, it's going to take, it takes time, and time is the compounded factor, but we need people to do it. And
Right.
There are, a few of us who show up each day and do a lot of things. But we need more who are here. People who are claim to be lions. Well, what the fuck have you been putting in the database? Well, I'm a lion. Well, I see you all over Discord, but I don't see you all over Threads. What the fuck you doing? And that's the difference. And again, you can put up all the threads, good morning, and how are you doing, and oh, my day sucked, and all that other crap. And it, has value for a second, but has no deep value other than, it's a little bit more to feed into the learning model that I guess they're running. But, Cal kind of snapped. He didn't snap at me, but he replied. And I guess he got tired of me mouthing off.
Yeah, just a second. I'll be right back. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. But he said we need more data and we need time. And the time means that to train the language model on the data. But he said basically we need more data, and that's what the last couple articles I wrote under my Leo account. That's talking about the flywheel and the data flywheel. And being Web3, people need to understand this, because if you have Leo in your wallet, you have stake. If you're not pulling your share, then that should be called out.
Yeah, I don't have enough Leo in my Boomer Tunes account to really make a vote. That's why I do any voting I do with my main account because
Well, but in totality, and you're doing your part, you're adding to it. So it's, there's nothing, I don't care where people actually have it housed. I mean, people have multiple accounts and move things around for a variety of reasons. But, if somebody's sitting there with 5 or 10,000 Leo, what the hell are you doing to improve Leo? You want to talk like, oh, lion pride, bullshit. You're never here, or you're just putting up crap. It's put something on worthwhile. Make this place valuable. But that's the difference between users and owners, and it's why, quite frankly, the masses end up with nothing. And it's. I'm glad you watched Margin Call. Did you see the scene at the end when he was eating dinner in front of, or lunch in front of Kevin Spacey? And he went on to that thing and he says, the haves, the have-nots. The numbers change, but the percentages are always the same. And it's the truth. You look at Hive and you see it. It's an opportunity. And what are people doing? I mean, I see these dumbasses posting, oh, here's the growth of my Twitter account, my X account. Who gives a fuck?
Why are you not growing your Leo account?
Of course. Fucking morons. It's fucking stupid. But it's because of a nomad soul. It's because of cow. It's because of this. Oh, we need more users. Well, you guys don't understand what's going on either. I mean, it's just
what are they going to use?
Exactly. What the fuck are they going to do? No, I mean, basically I started in college. So I was a sophomore. No, I was a junior. I was about 1990. So we'll call it 30 years in sales and marketing. You don't market a shit product. The best market in the world on a shit product is just going to put you in bankruptcy court. Because you might drive a lot of people, but guess what? If it sucks, they'll leave, they'll stop buying it, and they'll tell other people how much it sucks.
And that word can spread a lot farther and a lot faster now.
Oh yeah, because in the social media world, they'll just go right back to Twitter and they'll say right under your account where you built it up and you got all these followers. They'll say, "Yeah, I used the site and it crashed 6 times in 3 minutes." Oh, well, try it again. No, it's gone. And plus, they just told your 50,000 followers your site crashes 6 times in 3 minutes. It's moronic. But this is why, as much as people want to be involved, they're incapable of it. It really, I am becoming convinced of that. This is why you have to have people at the top. This is why you need, at least at the platform level, you need some hierarchy, because the masses, whether it's because of their dedication, their drive, their motivation, their loyalty, their intelligence, their focus, whatever, it's not there. It's simply not there. And it's like, you see it all the time. I mean, we've talked about it with the market. 90% of these people in crypto do not belong in the markets. If you're going to get in the markets, you better know what the hell you're dealing with. And if you think the price is only going to go up and you get depressed when the price goes down, you don't belong in the markets, because the price isn't only going to go up. Markets go down. That's what they do. And if you think you're going to get into Web3 and you're not going to take a loss, you got your head up your ass. Because there's nothing in business, in markets, where loss is not a part of it. That happens with companies all the time. They enter a market, they enter a product line, they go get a new product line, they hire people, shit doesn't work out. It costs them money. They close down that store they opened, They exit that market they opened, they fire that person and have to hire another person, start the process all over again to retrain somebody. That's what you have to do. Not every decision works out. But what do they do in Web3? It's like, oh my God, Cub didn't work out. Cal's a scammer. What are you, an idiot? It just, but this is how people think.
What are you doing to build it? What are you doing to give it value?
Yeah.
If you have a stake, what are you doing?
Yeah. Exactly.
Stop whining.
And fucking do something. Yeah. Fucking do something. You have the ability to impact what you are holding. You don't have that with stocks. I mean, yeah, I guess you could go, if you own Walmart stock, you can go shop at Walmart, but unless you're buying a hell of a lot of stuff from Walmart, you're not going to impact the earnings. Yeah, you can go buy a Tesla if you own Tesla stock, or go buy a General Motors car if you own a GM, but you're not going to do very much for the earnings. With this, you can have a significant impact. But, people bitch about their data. Oh, Facebook, they steal my data. No, you give it to them, you dumbass. And they turn it into revenue. They turn it in, they monetize it. And what do? You keep showing up. You keep using Instagram. You keep using X. All these people on Hive, I'm sure Elon's very grateful. They're on X all day talking about Hive. I'm sure he loves it. I mean, realistically, you don't even know they're there. But point being, yeah, keep feeding Elon the data. But we gotta market. What the fuck you marketing? And the Leo decks. I hope the Leo people go and talk about Leo decks once it's fully operational. Then you have something to fucking talk about. Until then, shut the hell up. You don't have anything to talk about. What are you going to talk about? Blogging? Who the hell cares about that on Twitter? Maybe a few people, but if they care about it, they're either running their Medium account or they're going to do it on Twitter. They pay Elon $20 a month or $10 a month or whatever the hell he charges, so they get extended blogging.
Yeah, it's hard to figure out. It doesn't make sense. That's why you can't figure it out.
No, it's just fucking stupid. It's these people are idiots. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
They don't understand network science. They don't understand hubs. They don't understand any of it. And the results speak for themselves.
Because Elon could care less if you're there or not. Zucky can care less if you're there or not.
Oh, they care that you're there. They want you there. They ain't giving you shit for being there. You ain't getting crap. I mean, if maybe you'll get off X a little bit of ad revenue if you are a big enough player, but you're not getting any equity. Elon's not about to give you any piece of X for using it, and neither is Zuck. Zuck ain't giving you any of that Facebook stock or Meta stock for you using Meta. Any of their apps. You ain't getting shit. So you got zero equity stake. And that's where you're going to focus your attention?
And I'm almost done working, so now I can spend more time on Leo.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's painful. I mean, it's a very simple process, but,
mm-hmm.
We need 100 people with the same mindset.
Okay, well, we had another good talk here tonight, and hopefully the user interface keeps improving so we can do more.
Yeah, that's their plan. I don't know. I mean, for me, it seems to work better. Cal mentioned something about Google Ads. They're thinking of taking them off to see if that's causing some instability issues, which I wouldn't be surprised if it is, if that's not the the cause of a lot of problems. But because Threads is kind of unstable to begin with. But if Threads is fucked, I just go to long form. If long form sucked, I go to Threads. So that's where I've been plenty to do.
Okay, well, we'll see everybody next week. Have a good night until then, a good rest of your week until then, too.
Ciao, everybody.
Good night.